I mean, she's stepping on glass. She's getting cut. She's getting shot. She gets her ear blown off. Every fight with these men is just ugly and brutal. And at the end, she is just left completely burnt because she's out in the desert, just tired, exhausted, but none of it was pretty, but she survived. So I think her on this island, Jennifer from Revenge, played by Matilda Anna Ingrid Lutz, would be a really fascinating journey because Aaron would conquer nature. You know, we have already gone over that, but her journey in this would be kind of ugly, but she would make it and survive, which I think is another narrative that would be fun in this movie. So she's tough as nails. I mean, she got stabbed through the back and chest, put a beer can tattoo, like, cauterized on her, then took out 3 hunters in incredibly violent and, like, bloody scenes. So I just think her journey in this island would be gnarly and kind of bloody and just kind of gross. So that's why I would like to see her journey on this island. First time she goes to go after this hunter, she grabs his gun, but he knows she's there, and she goes to grab the gun, and it's unloaded. And the guy's like, I drew you in. You think I would leave a gun right there? So I just think it's more of I don't think trouble finds her. I just think whatever can go wrong does in these circumstances. Like, she's in a gunfight, and she steps on glass. Like, she's trying to run away from a guy, and the floor is covered in blood, and you slip. It's just one of those everything that can go wrong.
But that would be fascinating, because when you think about a lot of the picks that we've had, it's like I'll go back to, Aaron again, the idea that nature would submit to her.
Mm-hmm.
What's interesting about the way you describe this character is that when you're alone on an island, let's just be real here. The person may have to adapt to what's happening around them, right?
Yeah.
Foreign, all the foreign things. And the way you describe this is whatever problem she's trying to solve, there's going to be some other things that happen, right? There's going to be other issues she's going to have to work. Like, it just sounds like things are going to happen and she's going to work through it. And to me, that's a lot different than a lot of the selections that we've had so far, is that it'd be an interesting watch because she's going to be trying to build something and something's going to fall on her.
Exactly. To climb a tree, to get a coconut, falls, rolls her ankle.
So to me, that's where, that's where that would be interesting, because we have a lot of picks of people inflicting their personalities onto the island. This seems to go the other way around, and that would be
That's a good point. I like what you said there. She wouldn't inflict herself on it. The island would inflict itself on her.
And by virtue of that, that's an interesting watch.
Yeah, I loved her journey in this movie, so I had to do it.
We're kind of in our last one, and I was kind of saving because I was trying to think of the ultimate survivor in movie lore. Who is the ultimate survivor? And
that's it. Mad Max, maybe?
Yeah. I was trying to think of somebody that is kind of like, this is going to be the only thing I worry about. I don't think it's too similar to Ernest, but I just think somebody who is the ultimate survivor knows how to work people. They know how to work the environment. They know just how to work it, and they always come out just doing just fine, no matter what happens. And so in the last round, I got to go Cousin Eddie from Vacation, man.
Oh, he'd be perfect.
Yeah. I mean, even in such fine films like Vegas Vacation, when Clark needed money, Cousin Eddie was already thinking about a quarantine 15 years ago. Yep. He was already thinking about, because he hid all the money. He had it buried all around his trailer.
Mm-hmm.
And he was able to – so here's Clark that gave away all the money in the world, the college education, everything. Who did Clark go to? He went to Cousin Eddie, man,
mm-hmm.
right? And Cousin Eddie had the money all around that he was able to he was able to bail out Clark, where Clark would be dead probably in –
oh, man, that'd be bad.
On that island. Cousin Eddie would be the man, right? This is a guy, like, just think about Christmas Vacation, right? Think about how the chair,
yeah.
right? After the fire on the tree, what did Clark do? He was going to throw the chair out.
Mm-hmm.
What did Cousin Eddie see? he saw an opportunity to fumigate said chair and put it in his RV.
That's right.
That's the kind of guy that's gonna make it on that island. Not seeing the negative, but always seeing the positive. And that, my man, doesn't it?
Didn't he cook food on rocks? And then didn't he have poisonous snakes for his kids to catch? I mean, he would have no problem with poisonous snakes. He wouldn't care what he ate. He wouldn't care about being clean. He would just show up, and I think the island would want him gone, the mess he makes in it. I think he wouldn't have any, like, just any snake that comes out, oh, I can catch that. Like, he just doesn't care. Like, I think he'd be, like, of all these people, he would just show up there and be the most comfortable immediately. Like, Spicoli, like, if Spicoli was in Jennifer's situation, he'd be in trouble. But Cousin Eddie, if he was in any situation, he'd just figure it out. I like that. That's a good pick.
And I just think that there would be no situation that would happen on that island that would overwhelm Cousin Eddie, where he wouldn't be able to adapt and just see the positive. I mean, the man always sees the positive in every situation. And I think that attitude goes a long way on surviving on an island. And I think that Cousin Eddie, of all our picks, I think has the best attitude about life. And that's going to go a long way.
I think if a hurricane hit the island, aside from Storm, Cousin Eddie would be the least worried about it. Because he would just grab onto a tree. Oh. He'd be fine. You know, he'd probably grab a crab floating by and eat it. Like, he has no problem. He would love a hurricane.
Yeah, he would view it as an opportunity. View it as an opportunity to have a nice, good breeze blowing through because, things have been a little static around that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how he would view a hurricane hitting the island.
Yeah, he would not care. Every other person would be mortified, but and then he would see all the fish that wash up. He'd be so happy he'd cook them all. He could make a fire, no problem. No problem.
Absolutely. So, it's, I feel like of all the picks, the man who would have the best attitude and see everything as a positive. No matter what happened on that island, he would somehow figure out a positive. And you know what? Attitude goes a long way, brother.
All right, so for my final pick, I'm going with another ultimate survivor. I'm going with a super survivor. So I'm picking Preacher from Deep Blue Sea. And the reason I'm picking Preacher is because he's a chef. He basically lives on an island that's in the middle of nowhere. He's in a structure in the middle of the ocean, which is basically an island. A storm hits, and he's not a scientist. Nothing he does there is his fault, but he is attacked by a shark. He kills that shark. He blows that shark up in a kitchen brawl. Like, he takes that thing out. As the film progresses, he gets attacked by the alpha shark and is bit in the leg. And he somehow has the wherewithal to pull a cross off of his neck and start stabbing the alpha 40-foot shark that's biting his leg in the eye. He escapes that. Then, after massive blood loss, he wakes up and he sees that Carter Blake is in trouble. He picks up a spear gun, shoots it into the shark, attaches it to electricity, and blows it up. I mean, this guy was just the chef in this, and he survived something that wasn't his fault. So he's also a cook. He knows how to make things. He's basically just a survivor. And he thinks on his feet. He's extremely tough. So his time on the island, he would definitely be complaining like he is in the movie. But just the sheer stuff that he survives would make him a prime candidate just to get by on the island. And I would like to see him just complaining, figuring things out, being LL Cool J. I would like to see LL Cool J's Preacher from Deep Blue Sea on an island. I just would love to see that. So that's my final pick.
What makes that, well, he would be by far, I like the way you describe it. Like, I always think about that scene when Preacher is, when he's in the kitchen and he has to figure out a way to get the hell out of that kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
That was, that's kind of like John Wick, killing somebody with a pencil. You know what I'm saying? I mean, that was, you're right. He's a cook. He's not part of some fraternal society of assassins like John Wick. John Wick is trained, right? This guy, he's not trained to do anything. And he somehow goes from 0 to 60 in becoming, a badass. So you take that adaptive skill and put him on an island. It's going to be interesting to see what he comes up with on how to survive. Because probably more than anyone else, his story arc and journey would be interesting because of what he would come up with to survive.
Yeah.
And we probably can't even think about that right now, but his adaptive mind would really do some interesting things while stuck on that island.
Yeah, I think I just want that movie. I like Preacher from LL Cool J. He's never going to pop up in another Deep Blue Sea movie, so I want him in this. So that's why I went with him. Now, I got something for you.
And you think about it. I mean, Samuel L. Jackson wouldn't survive on the island. So, his from Deep Blue Sea. So, and it was interesting when doing all these movies. It was just kind of funny. Like, I kind of thinking of characters. There were some other really good ones I thought about, but they die in the movie.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, can you really pick somebody that doesn't make it? Does that make sense? Like,
yeah.
I was really kind of debating that because I felt like that would be a big plot hole. One of the people I did think about, I had some good ones here, but you think about Mola Ram.
Yeah.
But Mola Ram would be great in so many ways, but he didn't make it.
No.
And so if you can't make it in in his story arc when we know him, how is he going to make it on the island? And so that was kind of like the one thing I kind of was, hanging on to is if you don't make it, would you be able to survive on that island? And so did you have any people in your hamper that didn't make the cut?
I had the dude from Big Lebowski, and then I also originally had Nolan from Predators, but that's too easy because he lived by himself for 20 years on a predator planet. And then I had Janet Van Dyne from Ant-Man and the Wasp because she lived in the Phantom Realm for 30 years. And then Atlanta from Aquaman, she lived in the core of the Earth for many years. But that was just too easy, so I went for kind of harder picks. But that's all I had. What about you?
I had some different ones. I didn't. She's one of my favorite characters. But I was thinking about Amy Dunn. I thought that, but she was my first pick in the last draft, so I didn't want. I didn't want to go that route. I didn't want to copy, but I felt that she would have been pretty interesting to be on a desert island. So I was thinking about her. You know what? This one I was debating, and I didn't pull the trigger on it, but Russell Hammond from Almost Famous I thought would be kind of a fascinating character study. I thought about McLovin from Superbad. He was another one that was kind of in my hamper of targets. And then the other one was it was just kind of funny because you brought it up before we came on. When we were getting ready to do this, but I thought about MacGruber. I thought that would have been a fascinating kind of spin on it. So those are a couple other ones that I was kind of kicking around. They just didn't have enough they weren't as powerful as the 8 I selected. So, and what I'm going to be fascinated by is as people listen to this, what kind of comments you get. I hope that people get really have a good time with it and maybe are a little more interactive on movies, films, and flicks and give us some of their thoughts and their comments on who they would want to see on a desert island by themselves. Because I'll bet you your audience. And you're what? You're number one in Chile right now. If I think I read that the other day.
Number one in Chile. We were 5 in Ireland, 14 Great Britain, 12 in Australia.
I really like to see what the Chilean audience had to say about this.
Yeah, they would love it. Now let's do something. Let's pick our favorites. So I'll pick my favorite from your group, and so I'll pick my two favorites from my group and your group. So we'll pick our favorites from each list, and which movies you think would be the most interesting to watch.
Okay.
That you'd want.
All right. You go first.
All right. So for me, watching a movie, how about this? If I'm directing a movie, the movie that I want to see is.
So you're Robert Zemeckis. You're out there with your Tom Hanks making this movie. So so that's what we're saying here, right?
Yeah. All right. So I got to pick one from mine and one from yours.
Okay.
All right, so I'm Zemeckis. I want to make a movie. I got to send one of these people from your group to an island. I'm going to go. All right, it's 2 people it's down to, Les Grossman or Erica Albright. I love The Wolf, but it would just be it would be a 20-minute movie. So I just want to, all right, I think Erica will be a really interesting film, a very capable person. I just want to see the character development of Les Grossman from your list. I want to see him become less selfish. I want to see him yell at trees and then realize trees won't move for him, and then he has to do things for himself because he's so used to assistance. So I want that movie. And then from my list, I'm actually quite intrigued by Jennifer. I just want to see everything bad. Like, it would be like a jungle survival movie. And that's kind of what I think would be a really interesting watch, just figuring everything out. and having all the worst things, sort of like, whatever bad can happen happens.